Hi, this is Sarah from Sassy Sarah Reads, and today I'll be talking about authors who you just can't get enough of, even though you're not really into their books. So I have 3 different categories, and I just thought that it would be an interesting discussion to figure out why, even though we don't enjoy these authors' books, we still keep picking them up. So the first one I have here is a book that I have currently read, and it was in my last video for my November wrap-up, and it is What We Left Behind by Robin Talley. Now this is like one of my least favorite books ever. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand the message. I didn't know what Talley was exactly trying to say, because everything that she wanted to say was just chock full of hypocritical statements. So it felt like nothing was really concrete, and the messages weren't getting across. But this is her sophomore novel, and for some reason I really want to read her debut novel. Like, I really want to read it, and I shouldn't want to read it because I thought Talley's writing was pretty mediocre at best. Like, I wasn't really into it. But on the other side, the premise of her debut novel is Lies We Tell Ourselves, which is about a black and a white girl in the civil rights movement back in the time when blacks were starting to become integrated into schools. And the white girl is very racist. I don't know their names, but they end up having to work on a project together, and I think like they end up getting over their differences and falling in love. And I find like that seems a lot more, I don't know, like I've heard good things about this, and then on the other hand, I had kind of already started to hear bad things about it, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. So even though this one was a flop for me, I still hold out hope. Now, is it bad that I'm holding out hope for a book by an author I know I didn't enjoy already? So I kind of feel conflicted about wanting to read Lies We Tell Ourselves, but at the same time I really want to read it because I feel like it's something maybe I could take away from. And I don't know, like I feel this is one of those instances that is very rare. Like, I absolutely hated this author, and usually in that case I would not want to ever pick up another book by this person. But I also am very intrigued by Talley's overall messages and her stories, and I want to give her a shot. So I'm giving her one more shot, and we'll see how that goes. My next category is popular authors. You know, those really popular authors that everybody loves. I only have 2 books. I've read 3 of his, right, but I'm loaning one out, so I don't have it with me. But John Green. So we have The Fault in Our Stars, which is obviously, in my opinion, a great masterpiece. It's not like the best book ever, but it's definitely one of my favorites, and I'll always hold it up there as a favorite. And I absolutely love The Fault in Our Stars. So it's, of course, no surprise that I would go out and continue to buy John Green novels. I have Looking for Alaska, Paper Towns, An Abundance of Catherines, and I think I have another one. Let's see, I don't see any more. Yeah, I think I may have one more, but I'm not sure which one that is. So my problem with, well, let me get started into the problem. So my problem with John Green, after The Fault in Our Stars, which is great, was Looking for Alaska. Now this book is one of his books that everyone, it's highly acclaimed basically. I know that a few people were reading this in my school last year for class, and a lot of people really hold Looking for Alaska up in like the pinnacle of John Green's great novels. And it won a Pulitzer, I think. That's what I think the sticker is. So I went into this expecting it to be, you know, a really good novel. 1, because it has merits. 2, because I've heard so many great things about it, and 3, because I didn't even think that a John Green novel could be bad. And I don't think that Looking for Alaska is bad. My problem with Looking for Alaska is that it was a flatline novel. I only really felt anything for these characters the last 20 pages of the novel. And that's not what I want to feel when I'm reading a story. And not only that, but this is when the whole manic pixie dream girl trope really came into play with Green's writing. And I really understood what people meant when they said that Green is pretentious and he doesn't write believable characters. And then I read read Paper Towns this summer, and let me just say, I didn't have like any problem lending that out to a friend because I really hated Paper Towns. I didn't like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing. I didn't like basically a lot. I hated all the characters. I thought that they were contrived. I thought that they were selfish. I thought that they were just so self-centered that they couldn't see beyond their little scope of people. And it really bothered me. And I know teenagers are like this sometimes, but it got to the point where I was just like, I wanted to throw the book at the wall. It's full of red pin marks. If I had it with you, I would definitely show you. But here's my problem with Green. I love The Fault in Our Stars, obviously, but I have a really different opinion on his other two books that I've read. And while I own other books by Green, I'm hesitant to keep reading his novels because I've begun to realize I'm not a huge fan of his writing style. Yeah, he has a few quotes here and there, but I honestly do not love John Green's writing. And not only that, but I'm not a fan of his storytelling. And while I own other books of his, I'm not sure if I want to continue. So does anybody else have this problem with Green's novels? Because I feel like I'm the only person who is not absolutely in love with John Green, and it kind of bothers me, I guess, because he's so hyped up. So the next category is Twitter popular authors, okay? So I have Beth Revis, Across the Universe, Marianne Johnson, The Name of the Star, and Wither by Lauren DeStefano. Now these books all fall in like the same category of I liked them, I didn't love them, I had my problems with them, but yet I still want to read them because I really like the authors as people, and I want to support them because I think they're cool. Like, yeah, I had problems with this, but I think that maybe at another time in my life I may really enjoy this trilogy, and I love sci-fi. And then this novel was not all it meant. It was hyped up to be. Jack Ripper sounded like a great story because it's about Jack Ripper in the streets of London's ghost coming and killing people. And the main character's from Louisiana, so of course I am going to support this. But I felt like it was, again, another flatline novel. I guess that's the best I can say. Because, you know, that's how I feel about Made books. They're just flatline, like they keep going on. And I didn't really take anything away from this. But at the same time, I really like what Marianne Johnson, I don't know, I like what she stands for as a person, so I'm really interested in like Devilish, which I think sounds really good. And then we have Lauren DeStefano, who again I think is a great person, and while I wasn't a huge fan of Wither, I'm definitely going to continue to buy the trilogy. One, because her books are always beautiful, like even the Perfect Ruin series, which sounds amazing, is beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, supporting authors who I think are good people. But I don't know. I find myself in a weird space of, do I actually like these authors, or do I want to like what these authors stand for? I always feel like it's hard to decide if you like the author's work or if you like the author as a person. And it's hard as a reviewer to, you know, separate them. Because yes, I really like these people, but at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of their material. Does anybody else feel like it's hard to distinguish when it comes to, you know, continuing to support these authors or even reading their novels? So let's start a discussion down below in the comments, and bye!